So the shaman hands me my glass, and I raise it up to the room and start to bring it up to my... Okay, wait. Before I get into this story, let me first explain what ayahuasca is. Ayahuasca is a hallucinogenic tea that's been brewed by the indigenous people of South America and the Amazon rainforest for like thousands of years. They make this tea by combining parts of the ayahuasca vine with some other plant. I forget the name of it. You can Google it if you want. They boil those together and do some other stuff to it, and it results in a tea that's very high in DMT. Now, DMT, or dimethyltryptamine, is a very illegal and very potent hallucinogenic. This substance occurs naturally in a lot of plants and animals. It's in grass, it's in lemons, it's in oranges. Your own brain makes it. The reason you don't trip every time you eat an orange is because your liver is filled with these things called MAOs, or monoamine oxidase, which break down the DMT. The reason they cross this with another plant is because the other plant has MAO inhibitors, which block your MAOs, allowing the DMT to take effect, if that makes any sense. With all the tens of thousands of plant species in the Amazon rainforest, how did they know to cross those two together? They've always said that the forest told them. So after reading that, I'm like, fuck yeah, sign me up. I had been going through a rough time of self-analyzation, self-reflecting. I wanted to see what the universe had to tell me. So I did a lot of research on it. I found a group that came in from New York, called them up on the phone. They wanted to interview me to make sure my reasons were the correct reasons for going. And that's when they told me about the diet. No meat, no sugar, no processed foods. And I'm like, fuck. But you know what? I did it. I worked out my brain extra hard that month. I did good with my diet. I really tried to clear my head and focus on what the intent of the trip was. And a month later, the day finally came. I nervously packed up my shit and I headed out on the road. The directions they gave me was to an old farmhouse in the middle of nowhere in Indiana that was turned into a house. It was actually very nice in there. I knocked on the door, and when the door opened, I expected to see some crazy South American looking shaman with hairy nipples and war paint, but it wasn't. It was a young, vibrant, blonde-haired, blue-eyed girl. She told us to relax until the evening comes and told us where to put our stuff. So now I'm thinking, fuck, this girl's gonna kill us. But anyway, I get to the room, I meet the group of people. There's about 20 people in our group. It was not the people I was expecting to see. I thought it'd be a bunch of hippies and a bunch of young kids. It was actually a bunch of older people, a lot of business people, doctors, lawyers, couple army vets. Everyone was very nice. We all hung out, got to know each other for a little bit. Evening arrived, we make it up to the room. First thing I noticed when I got to the room was there's a big altar set up with a skull, there's some fruit, a bunch of rocks, bunch of hippie shit, there's lemons in all the corners. She sits us all down and tells us the rules. You're pretty much going to drink your cup, you sit back down, you're not to talk to anybody, you don't touch anybody, you sit there and lay in the dark, and whatever comes to you, comes to you. So then she tells us that before we consume the ayahuasca, we had to partake in a rapé ceremony, which was a new thing to me. I never heard of it before. It's pretty much when the shaman takes a mixture of ground up tobacco, tree roots, leaves, seeds, grinds it into like a dry powder form. They take a pipe, which is usually made of bone or bamboo or something, stick it in your nostril, always the left nostril first, symbolizing death, the right one symbolizing rebirth, and they blow it right into your nostril. So she takes her pipe, packs it with her wad of stuff, tells me to breathe in through my nose, and phoom, shoots it right into my nostril. It felt like a fucking punch right to my brain. I burst into a sweat. I wanted to shit my pants, run out of there. I was spinning. Made me question the whole thing. Like, why am I here? What did I just get myself into? Terrible feeling. After the rapé ceremony was finished, she then started passing out the purge buckets. After you consume the tea, you're going to spend the next few hours violently purging everything out of your system, usually by vomiting, sometimes by pooping, sometimes both. So now it was time. It was finally here, the time I've been preparing for the last month. She called each person up one by one, offered them a cup of tea, they drank it, sat back down. It was finally my turn. I was towards the end. I raised the glass up to my lips and swallowed down what I can only describe as a mixture of the thickest mud you ever seen, combined with coffee grounds and cat turds. After everyone had gone, I look up and I see her drinking the final glass, the tallest glass. And I'm thinking, fuck, she's taking this too? Who's gonna supervise us? There's candles everywhere. We're all gonna fucking die. Who's running this thing? So now it's time to just sit and wait. She turns out the lights and begins playing the most beautiful music I ever heard. I have no clue what she was singing about. It was all in fluent Spanish, but it was very beautiful. She had a multitude of instruments. I laid my head back against the wall and listened to the sound of her music combined with the sound of people next to me puking the soul out of their body, and I begin to feel it starting to take effect. At first, all I see is white, and I begin to hear the sound of a bell in the distance. It gradually grows louder and louder. Soon it's the sound of many bells, and I felt like it was kind of getting to know me and reviewing my life for some reason. I had a strong feeling like it was someone else really trying to get to know me and who they were dealing with. The next thing I heard was a loud voice, as real as if it was someone sitting right next to me, and it said, "What are we waiting for? Let's go." And as soon as it said that, I felt my body shoot through this tunnel or wormhole of light and images and emotions. I felt my body spinning until we came to an abrupt stop in total blackness, and there I was presented with images of my own death, which really didn't bother me until it found the one that did bother me, and it broke me, and I started to cry. I felt like it needed to break me and make me break down before we could move on. That evening before we took it, the shaman compared the ayahuasca a lot to like the love of a grandmother, and to where it's going to give you a hard kick in the ass when you need it, and it's going to see right through your bullshit, but it will also bake you cookies and show you love when you need it. So then it shot me back into the tunnel, and for the next few hours it felt like it was holding my hand, kind of guiding me through different lessons. I went through phases of my life, had a lot of breakthroughs. It was a very, very profound night, one of the most profound nights of my life. It almost felt like it was laughing at me in a loving way, the way you would talk to one of your children who were afraid of something. It's hard to explain, but it was a very crazy night. I can't get into everything I seen or went through that night just because I'm running out of time in this video, and a lot of it was very personal stuff. So the next morning, she performed a very beautiful ceremony. Breakfast was served to everybody, and me and my family member took off. We couldn't stay for the second night, but everyone else was staying for a second night, which was supposed to be even more intense than the first night. I kind of wish I would have stayed for the second, but we had to go, and I spent the last month depriving myself of sugar, so we stopped at the nearest gas station, and I crammed every donut or piece of candy I could buy in there into my mouth. So that's the story of my ayahuasca journey. It was definitely something to remember. I didn't do it to get fucked up or to party or anything like that. I knew it was going to be hard. I knew it was going to be ugly, but I did do it to try to improve myself. There are a lot of new studies coming out today suggesting that psychedelics may have an important role in our society, for things like smoking or PTSD. Smoking success rate is about 80%. With an ayahuasca journey, the next best thing is the patch, which is like 8%. A lot of soldiers are finding really good results with it. 1 or 2 ayahuasca journeys can almost completely cure them in a lot of cases, versus a lifetime of being on all these prescription pills, which I'm not really a big fan of. But thanks for watching. Hope everyone's doing good. Later.